All right, welcome internet viewers. This is the bi-weekly Backdrop community meeting. My name is Luke McCormick. I sometimes go by Cell Ear on the internet. I'm a web project manager near San Francisco, California, San Ramon specifically. And I'll throw it around to say Robert.
I'm Robert Lang, bug folder on the internet, and I'm in Altadena, California, lightly working on contrib projects. Let's pass it to Greg.
Hi, my name is Greg. Most of the time in Australia, but now joining from Greece. I haven't been joining the community and outreach meetings, but I think that I'm going to start doing that again. So yeah, eager to help where I can. Currently focused on the new release of Backdrop in like a couple of weeks, the minor release. But yeah, there's other exciting things in community space. So yeah, and I'll hand it over to Justin.
Justin Kaiser in Indiana. I'm Kaiser JB everywhere. And it's been a very long time since I've attended one of these meetings. So I thought it might be a good time to chime in.
I'll just go next. Tim Erickson, St. Paul Tim in Deerwood, Minnesota. Beautiful, sunny, snowy day. We just had a snowstorm yesterday. And I'm recovering from COVID, feeling pretty good, but I have a cough. So I'm going to probably not talk a lot during this meeting and mute my coughs so you don't have to hear me. Robert, have you went yet? Great.
Yes, Robert and myself went. So maybe either Jen.
Hi, I'm here, Jen Lampton, joining from Oakland, California. One fun thing to share, we had this like crazy thunderstorm last night, and I've never experienced this before, but there was one lightning strike that was so light that it like lit up the whole night sky for like 30 seconds. And then it was followed by one thunderclap that lasted like 40 seconds long of rumbling. And then that was it. There was no other lightning. There was no other thunder. There was just one massive like discharge of energy, and then just rain for the whole rest of the night. It was about 12:20 a.m. or something, and they expected that the thunderstorms will start at midnight. So I was like staying up to midnight to like have the thunderstorm experience. And I had the experience. Like, okay, I hope that doesn't happen all night, or I'm not gonna get any sleep. But it was fine. So it's good. Anyway, fun storms in California this week. That's it for me.
And I think Irina is next, right?
Hi, Irina Zaks, working from Mountain View, California. The rain is still falling. We have this wonderful, beautiful California winter, and I didn't hear this thunder, even though I'm only 40 minutes drive from Jen, which means that nature's California changes every 10 miles.
Okay. Here, should I do quick the community business, Luke, and then hand it over to you? We're just community announcements.
If your voice is up to it.
I can handle that, and then that'll probably be it. This is our community meeting. We have a topic every 2 weeks. This week we're talking about the Drupal 7 migration pipeline. We have 3 more topics lined up. Tentatively, actually, Robert, can you confirm that in the date? So next week, 2 weeks from now, we would talk about we're planning to talk about the soft landing and or the D2B migrate module or together with Irina, and then 2 weeks after that, February 2nd. Was that the date that were you going to be available, Robert, for UberCart?
Yes.
Do you remember if that's the date we talked about 2 weeks ago?
Yes, February 2nd it is.
It is. Okay, great. And then tentatively on the schedule, although we need to confirm that the right people can participate, on February 16th, we're talking about UberCart or organic groups, excuse me, organic groups.
Yeah, just mention the other UberCart. We should make sure the other UberCart maintainers are available for that date, which would be RG Piano, Lauren, and Robert Garrigos.
Sure, let's try to get as many of them as we can. Somebody should, and I can try to do this, just post something in Zoom up to let them know. Irina, do you want to say something short about the soft landing on the recording? We talked about it before the recording.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to make this announcement. I'm very happy to say that first thing that happens in 2023 is that Drupal Association started new community initiative called Drupal 7 Soft Landing, based on article by Tim Erickson and based on all the work that was happening in 2023. The goal of this, the URL is posted somewhere. It's under community initiatives, and it has initiative goals and scope, which outlines what we as a community hope to, what exactly we want to do to help owners of Drupal 7, current Drupal 7 site to move off the platform so Drupal 7 can have a responsible end of life. And all the migration tools are becoming critical pieces for this project. Thank you.
Irina, you might want to think about anybody from the Drupal community that we should invite to that meeting. If you want to talk about that later, we can.
Even for this meeting?
2 weeks, for the one 2 weeks from today.
Okay, yeah, I can. I'll be very happy to invite people to this meeting in 2 weeks. Yeah,
Sure.
I think that there will be lots of interest, hopefully among both agencies and site owners. And it would be great to invite them for the meeting where we have a little bit more content specific to how this initiative can be run. And also hopefully tools like improved site audit, extended site audit, D2V migration will be ready by this time for a demo. And I hoped that we can do also a number of presentations at Florida Camp, at Mid Camp, definitely at Stanford Camp, where people can experiment with the tools and also contribute to development of these tools.
But we have a session accepted for Florida Drupal Camp, so. Okay,
Great.
then do we have any other community announcements, or should we move right into the main topic? Okay, I think in the future meetings, we're going to try to have more community news at the beginning of these meetings, but for today, we'll probably just move into the main topic. So why don't I hand it over to you, Luke? And now I'm going to be quiet like I promised.
There, that's good. Well, it's a nice segue from the discussion of the upcoming soft landing meeting, because that's part and parcel of what this is about. So to bring it up from sort of scratch, the idea for this particular initiative is to grow the community from both sides, from both the suppliers and the customer side, recognizing that with the upcoming end of life of Drupal 7 and the 400,000 sites that are out there still running Drupal 7, a lot of them are likely, been an assumption we've had for a long time, interested in keeping their same architecture and moving to Backdrop, which is, as we all know, an extension of that existing architecture. So the thought is to try to make this as easy as possible, to try to have a way for Drupal 7 site owners that don't really know what's involved, or don't have the time or the knowledge or the skills, or whatever combination of resources to convert their sites on their own, to be able to hire somebody to do it. And there's the other side of that, of skilled developers who would be willing and able to be hired for these kinds of gigs. And the idea is to grow the market. There's the chicken and egg problem. customers can't hire developers who aren't there. Developers aren't there unless there's a market for it. So the idea is to try to build up both sides and start a virtuous cycle going where each grows the other. The more customers there are, the more developers interested, the more developers get involved, the more things get standardized, the tooling, the procedures, the pricing. Ultimately, the likely desired outcome is that the costs to the end users of converting should go down, but not at the cost of the developers making less money from their efforts. Things will get more efficient, so the developers will hopefully form a community where the tools are shared and the efficiency increases, and everybody gets to, you know, ride higher, and we get, you know, everybody wins. Our community gets an influx of fresh, enthusiastic, happy blood, and people out there get their sites on a stable, growing, thriving platform. Developers have good, useful work. Everybody wins. So we have to start somewhere. And so initially, what I have put together, and I'll share a form in just a minute here, is the initial form designed to collect a little bit of information. It's about a dozen or so questions at this point. And the concept, if I haven't, you know, addressed it fully right now, is that the prospective customer fills in who they are, contact information, so that they can be reached, and a description of their site, URL, various sizing things, various sort of qualitative questions about the site, that we, initially me, and then we'll figure out what combination of organization and automation would be involved in this, delivers it to a group of developers who have expressed interest in doing these kinds of conversions. Out of that group, they would see the proposals, except without the contact information, just to keep things respecting privacy. And if they're interested in you know, bidding for the project, we'll collect that list of you know, interests and deliver that to the customer. And that's the end product, is contact information for people who, you know, have seen the request and would be interested in accommodating it. And, you know, the hope is that all these numbers are less than zero, are more than zero, that there's some customers who are interested, that there's some developers who are interested, that we, you know, as long as the number is more than zero, we can start the process, and then grow things as necessary. If there's more customers than there are developers, then, you know, that's the market telling us that they want us to evangelize among developers about waiting business. If there's more developers than our customers, that tells us that we want to advertise the availability of these kind of services. But, you know, let's cross those bridges when we get to them. I don't think there's any fear of doing that. So with that, I don't want to pre-discuss things because we're about to look at the form, but anybody have any initial thoughts before I throw up the form and we can start looking through it?
Yeah, just a general topic. Drupal.org already has a what they call the marketplace, right, where they have a list of service providers, and we have our own, I think we call it contractors or something like that list. since this concerns both products like Drupal, although a previous version, and the potential of Backdrop being used as a go-to solution, as one of the solutions, right? Do we plan to coordinate or merge efforts? Is there any intention or means to for service providers that are already in the Drupal marketplace to sort of like specifically say that I work with Backdrop, so we have 2 entry points, and then what work has been done on our end in our own marketplace or contractors list to accommodate for what we're going for? Because I haven't been in touch with these things, so yeah.
No, nothing yet. But that is all part of the landscape of possibilities. My assumption is that at the conclusion of this meeting, if nobody is adamantly opposed to sort of what it looks like so far, the next step is to send some summary of this to the Backdrop identified contractors list that we have there, to say, hi, Backdrop contractors, who wants in on this? And again, hopefully it'll be more than 0 respondents that will kick in. And if it's a lot, then we'll figure out how to work with that. But my off the cuff guess is it'll be a manageable number.
Have we decided on the platform for the survey? Is the CV part of Backdrop CMS ready? Are we going to use that, or are we going with something else?
Haven't decided. I've prototyped, as I believe you've seen, a couple of different form options. Things like Google Forms and SurveyMonkey and things like that. And so far, web form feels the best to me. I didn't want to start out assuming that it would live on Backdrop hosted platforms. It's not a necessary part of the environment, but I'm sure like that. Anyway, why don't I share the form? And we can go through, let's see, we've got 20 minutes left to the meeting. I imagine going through the form in about 10 minutes. We'll look at each field, and the core to it to me is I'm waiting for you guys to shout out opinions about the questions that I put down, whether they're the right questions to ask, and we'll get to that. The last 2 or 3 questions are the most interesting in that sense, so I'll try not to get bogged down. So without further ado, let me share this window here. And with luck, we're now sharing it. You know what? To make it look bigger, I'm actually gonna share just the window and not the whole screen, so that it blows up a little bit bigger. I think I have few enough windows open that I can manage this. All right, so is everybody seeing the Backdrop to Drupal to Backdrop conversion screen there?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Briefly answering a question before you even get started that Irina raised before we started. Clearly, it's mostly Drupal 7 to Backdrop. I didn't want to preclude Drupal 6, Drupal 5, earlier things that might be kicking around. Is that unnecessarily inclusive? Should I say Drupal 7 or classic? Like, is there better terminology I could use for that?
I have been using the term legacy Drupal versions and Symfony-based Drupal versions to distinguish between the anything D7 and Buck, and then anything D8 and forward, because there's quite a few versions to be mentioning, and it's a mouthful. But I did get a negative reaction to that. So I don't know. We need to be a bit training a bit lightly because in certain chats in the Drupal Slack, people are cautious or nervous about any dichotomy or whatever. But these are the best terms that I could come up with without having to specifically say which versions.
I think legacy Drupal is perfect. And I can define what that means in like the next paragraph that is after that. So beautiful. All right.
Did I throw something out? Drupal 7 covers probably the vast majority of the use cases. And even if there's a 6 or a 5 out there, their route is to go to Drupal 7 and then come over. Whereas if it's just left unadorned Drupal, there's this flavor that we might be saying, looking for Drupal 8, 9, or 10 to backdrop conversions, which we kind of aren't. And so maybe just to avoid any negative connotations that we're trying to get those, it wouldn't give up too much by just saying Drupal 7.
I agree, actually.
I agree.
I'm definitely trying to 80-20 this and get the large cases of things, and in particular there's a well-known, well-trodden upgrade path to get from previous versions of Drupal to Drupal 7, and we don't have a lot of support for earlier versions straight to backdrop as it is. So I think actually. I think you're right. I think actually let's just say Drupal 7 specifically. It could even be like 7.8.9, but 7.89. Drupal 7 it is. What do we think? All right. Now in terms of the text here, I put this in now and will intend probably to give this like a careful view of it to try to polish the phrasing a little bit. So that's not final phrasing in any sense. But the big part of this has to do with privacy considerations. I addressed it on a very broad level, but I mean, is there a specific backdrop privacy policy that I should point to as part of this and follow as part of this? Or am I in uncharted territory?
I think we have one. Hold on, let me see.
Just on a note, look, while we have the text in front of us, while the word convert or conversion is okay, I think we're trying to avoid the word migration when it comes to Drupal, from Drupal to backdrop conversions. We use the word upgrade, but conversion is okay, but migration is sort of like technically a thing that you do when you rebuild the entire site, and that's what happens with D7 to D9. And yeah.
And so I think people are afraid of migrations because of that. And so if we can avoid using that word.
Conversion is okay, I guess, because it's not exactly migration. Which is
Conversion is good because it covers both migration and upgrades. But our language is like, we're definitely muddying the waters here a little bit.
I like conversion. I feel weird about upgrade because that seems kind of judgmental.
Well, I think it's been enough years that an upgrade is.
There's a lot of features that you get once you move to backdrop, so it is an upgrade. So
yeah. I mean, Drupal 7 came out a very long time ago. I think it's not unrealistic just to say software that's 10 years old needs an upgrade, even if you're not saying like we're moving to better software, just like a newer version makes sense. I dropped a link into the chat for our privacy policy. I'm not sure it will work exactly for this purpose, but at least you have something you can refer to.
Yeah. I'll certainly carefully read it and see if there's anything that like raises any flags that would make it difficult for me to say just we will follow this privacy policy, which is my preference, unless for some reason that like prevents it from being able to go forward, in which case it will work, but I don't think that's the case.
Look, just to clarify, the reason that we are communicating to the target audience of this survey why we are communicating with them is to explain to them that we are gathering that information, that data, for the purposes of streamlining our infrastructure in order to help them find the right service provider better, right? Is
Yes.
that the whole idea? That's the idea. So with that in mind, for those that are privacy sort of like concerned people, how do we allow them to participate in this without having to disclose like company information? Because they might say, look, some of these people that are, you know, privacy cautious, they might say, once you have something ready, I will use it. So it's okay for those that are happy to disclose their contact details or the company name or what have you. But for those that prefer to just have the right tools to find the right partner, are we accommodating for those? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, not really within this project. Like the whole point of this is specifically to allow people to have available developers contact them.
Okay.
That's not possible if they don't give some way to contact them.
Okay.
That is what the first three questions are, which I've highlighted here.
And how do you envision
Wait, Luke, can you clarify that? Are contractors going to contact site owners, or are we going to pass along contractors' names to site owners?
I
Yes.
explained that in the highlighted sentence.
Well,
here.
that's not what you just said. You just said contractors would be contacting them. So,
They will
Okay.
get information about contractors, right? So specifically, just, you know, to stay on the cautious side.
Wait, we're gonna be the middleman between, this does not seem like a good idea. It seems like if we wanted to build a service where people could do this on their own, I would be in favor of that, but I don't think we should be sending them anything other than like a template email that's like, here's a place you can find what you need. We can
Yes.
plug in a location or something, but we shouldn't be sending contact information out.
Because then which ones are you going to send? Because this is where I was getting at actually. What is going to be the end result of this? So I find this survey useful for the fact that
this isn't a survey, Luke or Greg.
What is it?
This is a form where you can say, please send me the names of some contractors to work with. I think there's some confusion there. We're not doing a survey now to figure out what the next step is. This is the next step.
I don't think we should do this. This is bad news, I think, for Backdrop to be sending contact information for anyone for a financial transaction. I think if we want to provide a list of like if we could contact all developers and be like, put yourself in the system if you want to hear from people, and then we could provide a form where people could be like, here's information about my project, and it would go to all the developers and the developers could contact them, that would be fine. But we should not be choosing which developers get to hear about which project. I think that's just way too much liability.
All right, well, I agree with that. I mean, there's nothing in my vision here that they couldn't be totally automated. The idea is that's the classic internet prototyping of having a human, initially me, do the computer program, because it would take a while to actually program it. But it's a totally mechanical thing. There's no judgment involved at all.
But if there's a person in there, then it can be like, we can still be liable for that.
Yeah.
So I don't think we can have a person do any of this. And I think like we should maybe think through like what people actually want before we do any of it. Like, do we know that there are enough people with Backdrop sites that want conversions that they're willing to like come to a forum and like describe their project? Like if there aren't, we shouldn't be building that feature. We already have a way for developers to say that they're interested in doing the work. Should we maybe just be sending these people like a link to that page so they can find those developers? Should we be sending an email to those developers being like, hey, are you actually going to answer if people contact you? I think there's a lot of stuff we can do within our current system that isn't going to expose additional liability and won't take a lot of work from developers to build it, especially if
Right,
they don't
right.
know.
I think we
Well,
might need to sort of approach everyone on the current list and make sure that they're still open to backdrop work, because I can think of a few who've kind of they have been very active in the past, but
Yeah.
have since gone either in a completely different direction or just back and focus purely on Drupal. So we need to make sure that they're still interested in backdrop, and maybe curate that list to say we'll take off those who aren't really interested in doing backdrop.
right,
Yeah.
right. So
So
there.
I think
Yep.
for the point of this form, we should not tell them anything that we're going to do. We should just say, like, are you interested in being contacted about this work? And then if they say yes, we can send them a template email later. And if that template email later includes like, hey, we're also collecting a list of contractors or whatever, and we want to send you specific stuff, we can do that then. But I think it's way too early to be making promises, especially if it's stuff that I think will take a lot of effort or will expose us to additional liability.
Okay, so I've addressed in the conception. Let me communicate. Most of these issues, I want to check for the liability thing, because I don't know a lot about that, and I'm concerned and interested, and I want to make sure everything's kosher. But just for the idea, there's multiple levels of opt-in at every step to make sure that nobody's involved who's not a willing participant in the thing. And the process, whether it's handled by a human, I mean, this could be coded, but it's easier just to have somebody, me, or somebody like do it. It goes like this. After an initial form is sort of agreed upon, step one is a message to that list of people that's currently on the Backdrop site saying that they provide Backdrop related services, saying, hey guys, look at this. Respond back if you would like to be included in this. And it's totally opt-in. Anybody that doesn't respond is not included. It's only people that say, yes, I want to be involved, that form that initial list of possible recipients. So step two is more than 0 people fill out this form that have customers initially. And those come to a central repository for, my initial thought was like a week, but the time might have to be changed. But after this period, that a message goes out to that list of people that opted in and said, hey, here's a potential gig. If you're interested, raise your hand, respond affirmatively, say this, and raise your hand and tell me, tell the thing that you would like your contact information to be delivered to the person who posted this form. At the point of there, and here's actually where it gets really like democratic, is the final product is like a single email to the person that filled this form with a list of names, a list of contact for people who said, yes, I would be interested in this. And then we're done. We're not naming prices, we're not offering services, we're not also like person who was interested, wanted to know if there was someone out there. Here's some people who are out there who said they're interested in, and then at least at the initial level, they can negotiate with that. Like my hope, not enforced anyway, but my hope is whoever sent the initial thing sends an email to each of these people and says, hey, you've seen this project, what do you think? And then discussions happen. And, behind the scenes, not involving us, not officially, but I imagine we'd hear about it. We would get, it would generate some sort of buzz out there. We'd find out like, oh, okay, here's the things that are easily done. Here's the things that totally weren't handled. Here's the questions that came up. I wouldn't expect many decisions made before any of it gets market tested to survive very long. Like this is a learning process. Once you see the responses, you're like, oh, okay, that's how it should be changed. And it's, you know, after some iterations, it would work. So does that address any concerns that were there? Does that sound plausible? Do you think, Jen, do you think we're still in danger?
Yeah, so I'm posting some notes in the Google Doc for today's weekly meeting for the basic process here. I think, so the main concerns I have are, number one, we shouldn't be distributing anyone's contact information to anyone else, period. And so if we can let those people contact each other via a system that we have that has their contact information, that's fine, but we shouldn't be sending out contact information. And number two, I think all of the information people send in, if it's safe to be viewed by other people, we should make sure that it's clear that all that information should be public and put it in a place where developers, like, we're just sort of building like a marketplace rather than like a hand managed service. And I think as long as we can sort of stay out of it and be like, we're going to build a place where you guys can contact each other, that's fine. But we have to be really careful about, especially getting in the middle of a financial transaction, because then we assume liability for any money that changes hands there too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
yeah. Oh,
there's like a contact information, like a personally identifiable information problem if we hand that out, and then there's a financial transaction issue if we hand that out. So we need to avoid both of those.
I think there's also, similar to the privacy thing, I think it's totally reasonable to have a disclaimer in there saying exactly what, like you know, here's people, they've told us this, here's people, they've told us this. We make no claims beyond that, you know, this is what they said. The greater danger, it seems to me, would be for the developers. The developers who are the ones giving out contact information. So they would have to
Yeah, I don't think they are, though. What we would be doing is allowing people who want services to fill out a form that says, I want a service. And then the developers can go and look at that list. And if there's nothing there that they want to respond to, none of their information goes anywhere. And if there is a project there that they do want to respond to, then they can reach out to that person and say, hey, I'm interested in this project. And they're the one giving out their own information. And that, I think, makes it a lot safer in terms of protecting developers, and that all of the people who are putting in information about, this is my project, they can choose how much information they want to reveal at that point too. Like, they have to have a backdropcms.org profile, and they need to put an email in for that. But the person that knows about their project doesn't need to know their email. They can use their contact form to get it, to send them a message. And so we're sort of protecting people on both sides there with not handing out any information unless they choose. If they choose to reply, that's them choosing to give out their information.
Okay. Hey, yeah, hey, Leah, you actually raised a possibility that I didn't know about until just now. So maybe that's the answer. It doesn't have to, we don't have to send the email. If we can give them a contact form that hides the email, I mean, that strikes me as getting us more involved, but if it's safer, I mean, that's fine, right? We just need some way to put them in touch. Because if they don't get in touch, they can't hire anybody. Like you have to make a communication somehow for the thing to get going.
Would it work to just we have people who have already said, I want to be on your marketing page, and we could, among those people, give them another setting checkbox that says specifically, I'm interested in doing conversions, or maybe not, just include them all.
No,
but,
yeah.
Wait, let me finish, please. So that these people, they fill out a form, and the form is tied to their Backdrop contact user ID, not their private email or so forth. And when they fill it out and send it, what we provide is we'll send that form information to all the people who had checked, I'm interested in seeing opportunities here. And then there's no human involved. It just goes to them. If they want to respond, then they respond through the person's backdrop user ID page contact form. So, there's no human in the loop, and we're not even maintaining a repository for thing of people to look at. Although if we use a web form, there will be records of all the submissions. What about that?
That's what I thought I proposed.
Oh, I thought I'd heard that there was a human somewhere in that loop, but
The human piece of that is only just in as like a temporary measure until the software gets written. That was just to keep it from necessarily being a development project when it didn't have to be. But the human in this would be bound by the same rules that a program would be. Like there's no.
Yeah, but there is a potential there for human to like overlook something or like not include people from a certain country because they don't think they're interested, or just there's just like something that even if the human does everything right, there's a reason for other people to suspect foul play. Whereas if it's just automated, all of the developers on our side, if you check this box, you get an email saying that this is information about a project you might want to learn or something.
I think the way to automate it is going to be a pretty small module, pretty quick and easy to do.
That's great news. I'm a little anxious because we've used up most of our time and haven't got to the part that I wanted to touch. So if I may, I'm delighted to talk about it. But so I mean, these top three fields were things I thought might be. These are the personal things that might be CVC around. All the other stuff down here is the actual form, is the actual questions that I'm asking. And since we have very limited time, I'm actually going to like breeze through the obvious ones, like the URL, the name, what it is, how it's hosted, and get to the harder questions, which is, trying to figure out for those of us, for those of you, I have never done it, who've had clients come with sites that they want to convert. What are the questions you ask them? Do you ask them what kind of traffic they get? Is that a reasonable? I'll kind of want to go through one of these like one at a time. Like we have not much time left, but like as much as I can to try to kind of look at them.
I mean, I think everything you have on here is valuable. I think rather than giving people like an explanation of all of the information we need, we might want to just ask them to run Backdrop upgrade status and provide like screenshots or something. I don't know, copy paste list, just something so that you can. The question I always ask is, can I have access to your Drupal 7 site? And so what we need to do is try and give people the information they need from the Drupal 7 or other site. And if there's, and I know what I collect and it's all in Backdrop upgrade status, but if there's other things that people need to know, I think those should also be added to Backdrop upgrade status. And then we can use that to be like, install this module, run this report, paste here information from page 6 or whatever it is.
I'm in love with that answer. That is, didn't know it was that easy. So certainly in this, there'd be like, if you can, if you know how, if you're able to, would you please, install this on a development version of your site and run it and, include that. I don't think we'd want to make that be like a requirement, because I think that's probably going to filter out a lot of people that don't know how to do that. But if they do, that's just fantastic. And we could, I assume that includes things like the modules, right? Like which modules and which themes and I'm guessing it includes the answers to most of these other questions I ask, right? Good.
Sorry, I had internet problems, so I was disconnected for 10 minutes or so. What was the topic that you were just discussing? Sorry, just this.
Oh, what questions could we ask, like the ones that are on the screen, that would allow existing Drupal 7 site owners to efficiently convey enough information about their site? Now, the whole point of this isn't like to do the conversion. This is to give information to the potential list of developers to let them know that they're interested. And,
Right.
and to give you kind of the idea, I'm trying to provide a way for the developers to self-select if it's like appropriate for, one-person shops to do it, or if it's a project that requires like an agency, and match those things up.
I think one thing that might be a relevant factor in terms of whether people think I can do that is the time scale that people are looking to.
Oh,
Timeline. Yeah.
yeah.
And budget, I would say.
That gets into the things that Jen was talking about. I'm kind of allergic to discussing money at all on this for exactly those reasons. It seems like dangerous thing to get involved with.
It's fair question though.
Yeah, and we could put like ranges.
Yes,
too.
exactly. Yeah.
And that way we're sort of like, here's 5 options, choose from one of these. And then like beyond that, it's up to them.
Yeah.
Really? All right. I was steering clear of that kind of thing. I figured that would be.
It's a decision factor for agencies, for digital agencies to even consider the job. So all this time that we were planning this, my head was sort of like steering towards a platform which doesn't have to be a new thing. When I say the platform, I mean a place on the main backdropcms.org site, which allows site owners and either freelancers or developers or digital agencies to sort of like see if they can match their goals, right? So we have this site, it's of this size, we have this time deadline, and we have this budget, and then according to these things, the developers that are willing to take gigs, then they could filter by those and say, all right, these are the 3 that I can bid, these are the things that I can contact, right? So yeah. I would like us to offer the tools for both site owners and freelancers or agencies to actually match their needs and then see if they can contact each other. So
yeah. We're out of time. I believe so. I should point that, but yeah, no. So that was
just on that. And while you're sharing your screen, can you just open the main page for backdropcms.org on another tab, please? And this is something that I saw about a couple of hours earlier. Yeah. So if you scroll down to where we have the list of contractors.
Is that down here?
Yeah, there it is. See, we have supporters.
It's in the support thing from the top menu.
Oh yes, right. So if you go there and go to service providers, that's it. So see how we have the list there, right? And then I think at the bottom of that list there's a link that says more contractors or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think yes. All right, so this is an issue, right? So just to have it there, because we don't have names and some have dragons there without. Yeah, so just one of the things, as part of what I was saying, right? We need a useful and user-friendly place where site owners can search for providers, and this is not like, it doesn't have any names. It doesn't have. Some people prefer local businesses, right? It doesn't have any stats information. So yeah.
That's actually a question that I think I would like to see in the forum, is geographic stuff for exactly that reason. For
and it could be just a blunt preference, or it could be like in the case of government sites that have sensitive information that they absolutely need to work with local like country residents, because I speak that from you know the GovCMS sort of like space and that. So
Yeah,
So-
no,
so-
excellent, relevant, done. We're in for that. I think we're out of time. Do we
Okay,
need to
cool.
close it now?
yeah, maybe we stop the recording and then.
Yeah,
Sure.
All right,
Everybody's
thanks
good.
everybody.
because
Let's
the
wrap this up.
dev meeting people are gonna start showing up. I'm surprised they're not here yet.
Okay, well, some of us are